The rain hammered against the windows of our cozy cottage in the Cotswolds, mirroring the tempest brewing inside me. My name is Barnaby, and until a few weeks ago I considered myself a fortunate man. At 46, I had a successful career as a software architect, a loving wife, and a comfortable life in a picturesque English village. My wife, Isolde, a vibrant and charismatic woman, worked as a veterinarian at a local animal hospital. We'd been married for 18 years, and while the initial spark had mellowed into a comfortable ember, I believed our love was strong and enduring. It all started subtly. Isolde began working longer hours, claiming the animal hospital was short-staffed. She became less communicative, often distracted and preoccupied during our dinners. I attributed it to work stress, offering her massages and trying to lighten her load around the house. I cooked her favorite meals, ran errands, and generally tried to be as supportive as possible. Looking back, I was a fool, blinded by my love and trust. The first real crack in our idyllic facade appeared when I stumbled upon a series of text messages on Isolde's phone. I wasn't deliberately snooping. Her phone was on the kitchen counter, and a message popped up from an unknown number. Curiosity, a dangerous and often destructive force, got the better of me. The message read, "Can't wait to see you tonight. Thinking about last night, my heart lurched. I felt a cold dread creep into my stomach, a feeling I'd never experienced before. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a friend, a colleague, a harmless flirtation. But the uneasiness persisted, gnawing at my insides. I scrolled through the other messages, each one a dagger twisting deeper into my heart. They were explicit, intimate, and undeniably suggestive. The sender, identified only as R, spoke of stolen moments, passionate encounters, and a deep, consuming desire. I felt sick, betrayed, and utterly devastated. My world, which I had so carefully constructed, was crumbling around me. I confronted Isolde that evening, my voice trembling with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "Who is R?" I asked, holding up her phone. She paled, her eyes widening in panic. "I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. I showed her the messages, the evidence of her infidelity glaring back at her. She denied it at first, claiming it was a misunderstanding, a joke gone wrong. But as I pressed her, the lies began to unravel. Finally, she confessed. "It just happened," she said, tears streaming down her face. "It was a moment of weakness. It doesn't mean anything." "A moment of weakness," I repeated, my voice rising. "These messages paint a very different picture. This has been going on for weeks, maybe months." "Who is he, Isolde? Who is this R?" She hesitated, her eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape. It's Rhys," she finally admitted, her voice barely audible. "Rhys from the animal hospital, Rhys." The name hit me like a physical blow. Rhys was a young, charismatic veterinarian who had joined the practice a few months prior. I had met him several times, and he always seemed friendly and respectful. I had even invited him to our house for dinner once. The thought of them together filled me with a blinding rage. "You slept with Rhys?" I roared, my voice echoing through the cottage. That arrogant little weasel," she sobbed, begging for forgiveness, promising it would never happen again. But the damage was done. The trust was shattered, the love irrevocably tainted. I couldn't look at her, couldn't bear to be in the same room with her. I spent the night in the spare bedroom, the rain outside a constant reminder of the storm raging within me. The next few days were a blur of arguments, accusations, and tearful pleas. Isolde insisted it was a mistake, a momentary lapse in judgment. She claimed she still loved me, that she wanted to make things work. But I couldn't bring myself to believe her. The image of her with Rhys was seared into my mind, a constant, agonizing reminder of her betrayal. I felt like a fool, a cuckold, a man who had been completely oblivious to his wife's infidelity. How could I have been so blind? How could I have missed the signs? Were there other times, other men? The questions swirled around in my head, driving me to the brink of madness. I decided I needed to know the truth, the whole truth. I hired a private investigator, a discreet and professional woman named Bront. I gave her Isolde's and Rhys's names, their addresses, and a list of their known associates. I told her to leave no stone unturned to uncover every detail of their affair. Bront got to work immediately, and within a week she had compiled a comprehensive report. The report confirmed my worst fears. Isolde and Rhys had been having an affair for over 6 months. They had been meeting in secret at a hotel in a nearby town, exchanging intimate messages and phone calls, and even taking weekend trips together. The report included photographs, documenting their rendezvous with chilling clarity. As I stared at the photographs, a cold, calculating anger began to simmer within me. The pain was still there, but it was now mixed with a burning desire for revenge. I wanted to make them pay, to make them suffer as I had suffered. I started to formulate a plan that would not only expose their affair but also destroy their lives. My first target was Rhys. I decided to visit him at the animal hospital, pretending I needed to bring our cat, Mittens, in for a checkup. When I arrived, Rhys greeted me with a friendly smile, completely oblivious to my true intentions. "Barnaby, good to see you," he said, extending his hand. "What brings you in today?" I forced a smile and shook his hand, feeling a surge of disgust. "Mittens hasn't been feeling well," I said. "I thought I'd bring her in for a checkup." As Rhys examined Mittens, I casually steered the conversation towards Isolde. "Isolde seems to be working incredibly hard these days," I said. "She's been putting in a lot of extra hours." Rhys nodded. "Yes, she's a dedicated veterinarian," he said. "We're lucky to have her." "Indeed," I replied, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "She's very dedicated to her work." I paused, letting the implication hang in the air. Rhys seemed to sense something was amiss. His smile faltered and his eyes narrowed slightly. "Is there something you want to say, Barnaby?" he asked. "As a matter of fact, there is," I said, my voice hardening. "I know about the affair, Rhys. I know about you and Isolde." His face drained of color, he stammered, "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't insult my intelligence," I snapped. "I have proof, I have photographs, I know everything." I pulled out a copy of Braunt's report and tossed it onto the examination table. Rhys stared at the photographs, his eyes wide with disbelief. "He was caught and he knew it. This is a mistake," he stammered. "These photographs are doctored." "Don't lie to me, Rhys," I said, my voice rising. "I'm not stupid. I know you've been sleeping with my wife." I could see the fear in his eyes, the realization that his life was about to unravel. "Please, Barnaby," he pleaded. "Don't do this. I'm sorry. It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen." "A mistake," I repeated, my voice filled with contempt. "You've been sleeping with my wife for 6 months and you call it a mistake. You've betrayed me, you've betrayed Isolde, and you've betrayed your profession." I decided to take things a step further. I knew Rhys was ambitious and eager to climb the corporate ladder at the animal hospital. I also knew that the hospital's owner, an elderly woman named Agnes, was a staunch advocate of morality and ethical behavior. I wrote a detailed letter to Agnes, outlining Rhys's affair with Isolde and including copies of the photographs from Braunt's report. I made sure the letter was delivered anonymously, ensuring that Agnes would have no idea who had exposed Rhys's infidelity. The letter had the desired effect. Agnes was furious. She summoned Rhys to her office and confronted him with the evidence. He denied it at first, but when Agnes presented him with the photographs, he was forced to confess. Agnes was disgusted. She fired Rhys on the spot, effectively ending his career at the animal hospital. My next target was Isolde. I knew that simply divorcing her wouldn't be enough. I wanted her to experience the same pain and humiliation that she had inflicted upon me. I decided to expose her affair to her friends and family, to shatter her reputation and destroy her social standing. I organized a dinner party at our cottage, inviting all of Isolde's closest friends and family members. I cooked a lavish meal, setting the table with our finest china and silverware. Isolde was suspicious, but I brushed off her concern, telling her I simply wanted to celebrate our marriage. As our guests arrived, I greeted them with a warm smile, pretending everything was normal. Isolde seemed relieved, believing that I had finally accepted her apology and was willing to move on. As we sat down to dinner, I raised my glass and offered a toast. "To Isolde," I said, my voice ringing with false sincerity. "To my wonderful wife who has brought so much joy and happiness into my life." Isolde beamed, her eyes sparkling with tears. "I love you, Barnaby," she whispered. "I love you so much." "And I love you, Isolde," I replied, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "So much that I'm willing to share you with Rhys." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Isolde, who paled visibly. What are you talking about, Barnaby?" she stammered. "I'm talking about your affair, Isolde," I said, my voice hardening. "I'm talking about your betrayal, your lies, your deceit." I pulled out a copy of Braunt's report and tossed it onto the table. "Here," I said. "Read it for yourselves. See what kind of woman Isolde really is." Our guests gasped as they read the report, their faces filled with shock and disbelief. Isolde's mother burst into tears, her father stormed out of the room, and her friends stared at her with a mixture of pity and disgust. Isolde was mortified. She sobbed, begging for forgiveness, but no one would listen. Her reputation was ruined, her social life destroyed. I had achieved my goal. I had made her pay for her betrayal. In the aftermath of the dinner party, Isolde moved out of our cottage and filed for divorce. The divorce proceedings were bitter and acrimonious. We fought over everything from the house to the furniture to the pets. In the end, I won. I got the cottage, the majority of our assets, and custody of our beloved cat, Mittens. Isolde was left with nothing. She lost her job, her friends, her family, and her reputation. She was a pariah, ostracized by everyone she knew. I watched her life crumble with a sense of satisfaction. She had deserved it. She had betrayed me, and she had paid the price. But as the months passed, the satisfaction began to fade. The revenge had been sweet, but it had also been hollow. I was left with an empty house, a broken heart, and a lingering sense of sadness. I had destroyed Isolde's life, but I had also destroyed a part of myself. I had become consumed by anger and hatred, and it had poisoned my soul. One evening, as I sat alone in our cottage, staring at the rain-soaked windows, I realized that I had made a mistake. Revenge had not brought me happiness or peace. It had only brought me more pain. I had allowed Isolde's betrayal to define me, to consume me, to turn me into someone I didn't recognize. I decided to make a change. I started going to therapy, talking about my feelings and confronting my demons. I began to forgive Isolde, not for her sake, but for my own. I realized that holding onto anger and hatred was only hurting me. I needed to let go, to move on, to find happiness again. It wasn't easy. It took time, effort, and a lot of soul-searching. But eventually I began to heal. I started dating again, met new people, and rediscovered my passions. I learned to love again, to trust again, to believe in the possibility of happiness. Isolde, on the other hand, never recovered. She remained a pariah, living a lonely and isolated life. I heard rumors that she had moved to a different town, changed her name, and was working as a waitress. I never saw her again. Sometimes I wonder if I should have been more forgiving, if I should have given her a second chance. But then I remember the pain, the betrayal, the lies, and I know that I made the right decision. I had to protect myself, to heal myself, to move on with my life. Revenge may have been sweet, but forgiveness was the key to my salvation. Years later, I remarried a kind and compassionate woman named Clementine. We built a new life together, filled with love, laughter, and mutual respect. I never forgot Isolde, but I learned to live with the memories, to accept the past, and to embrace the future. My story is a cautionary tale, a reminder that betrayal can destroy, but forgiveness can heal. It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the ability to overcome adversity, and the power of love to conquer all. My story is one of heartbreak, betrayal, and ultimately, forgiveness. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a brighter future.